Welcome to Westfarthing Woodworks. In this video, we're going to show you what to do with the blank after you drill it. Now once the blank is drilled, it tends to be oddly shaped, or there tends to be corners and things like that. Those are going to need to be removed before the piece gets put on the lathe. And the reason being for that is we're not going to grab the ring with very much force from the inside because we don't want to distort it and we don't want to crack it while we're turning it. So we're going to take you over to the bench and show you how to remove that excess wood before you bring it over to the lathe. Once the ring blank is drilled, there's usually quite a bit of excess around it. Now, this blank was drilled a little bit on the large side, so unfortunately I'm not going to be able to get a second ring out of this one. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to cut away this excess here, and I'm going to have to do it in a way that leaves me at least a 1/4 inch all the way around. Now there's a couple of different ways to do this. The most basic is just to use any handsaw and clamp the piece down to the bench, just like that, and then using the saw, mark out some lines that are a 1/4 inch away, and just go ahead and saw directly through it. Once you've sawn through it, move the blank, reclamp it, saw it again. This can be done over and over and over again until the ring blank kind of looks faceted, like there's just all these kind of straight cuts, but eventually they leave about a 1/4 inch kind of all the way around it. There's another way that this can be done as well, and that's on a belt sander. What I recommend before doing that is just kind of make a couple of straight cuts to get rid of the excess, and then bring it over to the belt sander and rub it up against it until it abrades it down, so that way it's fairly uniform and fairly round. Again, the reason for this is once it goes on the lathe, you don't want to have these corners coming around and hitting your tool, because again, the ring blank is not going to be held on extremely tightly. And when you hit one of these corners, it has a habit of making the blank spin, and then it's just, sometimes it's not straight anymore, it winds up cutting a ring that isn't even and symmetrical. So again, it's important to remove those corners. I'll spare you having to sit here and watch me saw all these corners off and take it to the sander. So I'm going to go ahead and do that really quick, and I'll come back and show you what it looks like. Here's the blank. Now I did these on the bandsaw just to save a little time. A couple of them came out just a little on the thin side, which again really isn't the end of the world. This is going to be thinned down even smaller than this anyway around the outside, so it really doesn't matter. I usually try to tell everybody to leave a 1/4 inch just in case something like this happens, whereas if I was going straight for this and my bandsaw blade decided to run on me a little bit, which was the case here, it would have gotten me down to where I was too thin, and this would be a garbage blank. So sticking a 1/4 inch away can kind of help avoid some of these little things that just kind of happen every once in a while, especially if a blade gets a little dull or a little old. So here's the ring blank. Now again, at this point we could go over to the sander, to a belt sander, and just go ahead and smooth over some of these areas that are still a little bit on the large side and even still a little bit pointy. And what that's going to do again is going to prevent when the unit is rotating, it's going to prevent it from catching on one of your lathe tools and either breaking or coming apart. So that's how to take care of the ring blank and how to get it prepped for the lathe. The next thing we're going to show you is how to make a small widget that kind of goes on the back of the lathe in between your chuck jaws and the actual ring. And what that's going to do is it's going to help guarantee that the ring is put on there perfectly perpendicularly with no angle or no anything on there, because you want to turn the ring as true as possible. And if it kind of goes on the lathe with a little bit of it cocked this way or in a different direction other than perfectly vertical and perfectly perpendicular, what's going to happen is the ring is going to look just a little bit misshapen, and that's really not what you're looking for. So this is Westfarthing Woodworks, and this is how to take the drilled blank and hack off the corners and get it prepared for the lathe.